What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome aboard to Trading Live with Bubba. And it's pretty quiet out there. Some pretty crazy action. Yesterday, if you were watching the metals, you saw the collapse in metals for a day. There is rumor that was a leverage margin call by one of the big banks. But certainly not a surprise. If you trade with me long enough, you know that was very overextended and it wouldn't have been a bad short anyways. Same for silver and the same for platinum. They all became buys on yesterday's action. Those were blow-off trades on a daily, which we trade the blow-off here together on a 4-minute basis, but those were daily blow-offs, which are also qualifiers. Again, I'm not saying you should have had them. I'm just saying that's to be aware of what's always going on around you, but it is pretty quiet. Not a lot to really look at or do right now. But again, I don't expect much, but certainly we'll be ready if something does show up. At the end of the day, it's really the game of trading is a patience game. There was a very solid trade this morning in the euro currency down here. Again, I don't like to talk about trades. I did make the trade, so I do talk about that. There was a nice trade in the NASDAQ on the opening there. So again, look, at the end of the day, you pick and choose and do your thing. But certainly we're not going to force any action here or any trades. It is our job to be disciplined and patient enough to wait for it. There's no reason to be overly aggressive in any of this. So I want you to be just aware of what's going on and what we're doing. So right now, I don't see anything really to do. The volume is very, very light, and it'll be very, very light tomorrow as well. There might be some action with the closing of some year ends tomorrow, but overall, we only trade when we get exactly what we want. If we don't get what we want, we don't trade. That's the way I rule. That's the way I run. In the meantime, let's just take a look at some stocks where we're waiting to see if anything's happening here. Apple, Alpha Papa Lima, really stuck between 270 and 280. There's really no trade to make here. Again, I'm not making any. Just full disclosure, I'm done for the year. I mean, I might day trade if something shows up. But from a position standpoint, I've got what I've got. I'm only using the next 2 days to do some cleanup if I get a move in the favor that I'm looking for. Other than that, I'm not trading. Amazon, really nothing to do, really stuck in the range, 225 to 235. Coin, hovering along the bottom. Again, is 230 going to be as a buy spot? I'd look there, but again, I'm not going to get overly aggressive here. I don't see the point. Crowd's very similar, but again, remember these oversold or overbought conditions can be resolved with consolidation, which is exactly what you're seeing in crowd. So now you need a bigger sell. I mean, I wouldn't consider, but right now, based on current information, I wouldn't consider being a buyer until it got down into the 450s. Okay. And I'm not a seller down here. Ether, mid-range, nothing. Meta, again, nothing really to do. You're getting close to being a potential sell. But again, I want to be clear that I'm not really putting on any positions right now. I'd rather wait until next week. Google, consolidating between 300 and 320. INOQ, something that you could look at again. It's really consolidating. It looks to me like somewhere around 43 would be a spot to look at it. IWM, again, in the middle of the range. This is pretty common with this action that we have in the market right now. We're not getting enough movement to want to get involved. So why bother? That's one of the things you have to always remember is, again, if there's nothing to get involved in, why should we get involved? Okay. That's always important to understand. Okay. That sometimes there's just not a time to get involved. So maybe if we can get an extension in this rally, maybe we'll be a seller. Right now, we're doing nothing. Okay. MP getting close, probably somewhere around 50. Microsoft getting close to being a potential sale, up around 495 or so. And nothing too exciting. MSTR hovering along the bottom here, very much like coin. I mean, I'd look at it at 150. I mean, I already own it, but again, to add on to it. Netflix, again, you're seeing this very common theme throughout everything. NNE would be one that, I'd almost consider today. I'm not going to, but I'd almost consider selling put spreads here. Nugget, a nice trade if you made it last week. Again, we did not. It was not an official trade, just something I commented on. NVIDIA, again, last week was a good trade if you'd have made it. We did not. Again, we didn't make any trades last week either. Palantir in the middle of nowhere. QBTS in the middle of nowhere. QQQ in the middle of nowhere. Now, interesting enough, the NASDAQ and the Qs are the only index that has not made a new high. We'll see if that does, if they make it soon or if the highs are in. Okay. I mean, we didn't exactly blow through on the S&P to new highs, but yet they did make all-time new highs. So, again, it wasn't actually a blowout, but it was a new high. Excuse me. SMCI, nothing to do. SPY, close to being a sale, but again, it's too thin. No action. Look at the last 2 days. Look at the volume. Okay, the holiday volume, nothing to do. XYZ, same thing. Tesla, again, nothing really to do here. Win, maybe you sell some put spreads, but again, I'm not doing anything right now. XBI, nothing. Actually, which I don't trade, but nothing anyways. And Zoom, nothing. So you can see the consistency, there's nothing really to do. So we'll watch them here and see what happens if there's anything that shows up. I mean, certainly you could be looking potentially, at the NASDAQ, potentially at the S&P. But with the markets being so thin, it's a decision that you have to make, if you want to get involved. And I choose not to at the moment. Doesn't make me right. It doesn't make me wrong. It just makes me saying, hey, I've done this long enough. I don't really need to get involved right now. That's what I look at. Okay. Now, again, I will J trade. We did J trade this morning. Had a number of trades earlier, 4 or 5 trades, but I don't see any real reason here to get overly involved. So, we'll hang around. If you have any questions, as always, you can ask me. I mean, obviously I can stumble and mumble through this, but there isn't really a lot, to do. So we'll see. We'll hang out for a little bit. But overall, again, I don't know that we'll have too much movement one way or the other. You could get some pretty good swings, but I think by the end of the day, you'll probably end up somewhere near, within, 1% of break even. I don't expect a dramatic amount of movement here. I think that's something that is what you just have to be aware of and where we are. Overall, very quiet day and not a dramatic amount of action. So we'll continue to look at these, and I don't see anything for us to do right now. So again, it's always on the trader to use the discipline to sometimes just watch. Observing the markets is something that we need to do as well. You have to learn that there's not always something to trade. Sometimes there's nothing to do. So why force yourself into a bad position when there's really nothing to do here overall? And I think that's important to learn and understand, that, you can't afford to put yourself in jeopardy for no reason. Okay. And right now, with the lack of activity you're watching, there's really nothing to do. So it makes it a bigger challenge. And, again, I think you just have to learn to observe, and maybe just not even watch at all. Sometimes it doesn't pay to even do anything. And I don't foresee anything worthwhile. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather today. So, but again, there really isn't much going on here. Okay. So we'll see. We'll watch for a few minutes here and see, but I don't foresee anything happening. I mean, there might be something to look at gold, but then you got to say to yourself, wow, gold is really a wild animal. Do I really want to get involved? You know, again, you can make a lot of money, but again, your risk is higher too. We know what our stop's going to be, but the movement can be so fast that it could take your stop and then go the way you think it's going to go. And I think that's always more frustrating than anything else. So again, we'll watch and see what happens. But I don't have much, you know, I can look at some other stocks while we're waiting. I mean, obviously it won't take us long to figure it out if there's something to do. One of the things to notice though is stocks like Rigetti. You know, some of these computing stocks, you know, the cheaper ones have gotten hammered after peaking in the 50s. Something to be aware of. Circle got hammered after getting to 100 to 300. And CoreWeave got hammered after getting to 180. So you're seeing this is always the first sign of a market meltdown. If you're looking for some cheaper plays, certainly I am an owner of and would buy more of Grab, GRAB. I think that's a great play if you're willing to hold on to it. It's like a big option. Poet, another one I own that again I'm holding. You know, I think that they're probably pretty good to hold. They come from pretty good sources. So again, I'm not telling you to buy them. I'm just saying that I own them. Okay. Whether that means anything or not, that's up to you. Okay. But in the meantime, I don't see anything going on here. I think we're going to call it a day. Sorry. Happy New Year to everybody. Remember, I do a Market 120 every morning with an update of the markets. And we have a new product coming out, new newsletter, The Pulse of the Market. If you'd like to get a sample of it and check it out, email me at bubba@bubbatrading.com and just say Pulse. I'll send you a copy of it. You can check it out, but it goes out every morning. In the meantime, Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks so much, and we'll see you back here next Tuesday. Have a great week.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.